All right, hello. Welcome to Hunting for Silver Linings with Vitor from Floripa, Brazil. This is Wednesday, November 18th, 2020, hosted by the Startup Grind Grand Rapids chapter in the Great Lakes region here in the United States. We're brought to you by Startup Grind, the world's largest startup community. We have 600 plus chapters in over 125 countries, and we operate with a mission to educate, inspire, and connect. We're driven by three values, and that is make friends, not contacts, help others before you help yourself, and give before you take. Now, we do this program because the pandemic has been and will continue to be the great global leveler, at the same time revealing enormous challenges like gender, racial, and class equity, is also encouraging groundswell and collaboration across the planet that we've never seen before, that gives those with great ideas access to capital and resources never before seen. As entrepreneurs, we need to do our very best for our teams, families, and businesses. And to do so, we need to be informed, rational, analytical, and rigorous in our thinking. We should also learn to control our biases as they emerge in various circumstances. And no one has a crystal ball, but if we keep our eyes and ears open and pay attention, we may be able to see around the bend, and with some luck, spot the silver linings around every cloud. You can catch all these recordings on Startup Grind's YouTube channel and also at our chapter website, startupgrind.com/grand-rapids. Now, with that out of the way, I'd like to introduce Vitor. Hi, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to learn about your ecosystem and a little bit about you as well, because you have a really great background, and you're also a bit of a celebrity in the Startup Grind community. So,
am I? I didn't know about it.
So, sure, yeah. So humble. I love it, the humility. So yeah, maybe a little introduction about your personal background, some stuff about you, and then and how you found Startup Grind.
Sure. So I'm originally from São Paulo. Maybe that was some of the minor mistake that was written there, but it's completely okay. I moved to Floripa, or Floriano polis, as the longer way that we call the place here, like 5 years ago. And I had the dream to become a teacher. Okay, I wanted to work with ecosystem, environmental engineering, what I'm graduated at. But I did not say that it maybe would be cooler to work on education. And then I started to look around, like to look, where are the startups, where are the universities, or where are the groups that it happens to have here in Floripa. As a newcomer, I was completely lost. So I started to look, snoop around, like where people gather. Like, maybe they gather at the university, maybe they gather on the pubs. But again, it was not not easy, like to break the ice and say, hey, what business do you have? Or, hey, guys, like, what are you doing, like, for a living? So I decided to Google for events. And when I started Googling for events, I started to find, like, the Eventbrite, the Meetup app. But here in Brazil, it's not so popular. And I hit it up with Simpla. It's a Brazilian local event management tool, just like Bevi. Maybe Bevi copied Simpla, but I think it's the opposite. But anyway, and then like it was very cool. Like it started to see the events that they had, and there was this event called Startup SEC. That stands for Santa Catarina, the state that I'm living in. And it's not South Carolina. Sorry to bother you. And then, like, they had this event like about Startup Grind, and I said, maybe it would be interesting. And they started to gather people there, like to learn what was the event. I love it, the concepts, like the three pillars that we have, and they decided to be part of this. And back in the day, the president said, hey, Vitor, why don't you start to organize your own events? I said, how so? Take it. It's yours. And I said, okay, let's do it. I've been doing like it is for the last 4 years by myself, but also with knowing Startup Grind for 5 years.
Sure. That's awesome. Now, you've attended Global a few times, right?
No, just once. Just these years. That's the last one.
And I saw on the social media that this last year you also attended South by Southwest, but you were there was no festival, right?
Yeah, like before the rain, it was very cloudy, and then like they shut the whole United States events off. And I was like, okay, I am already here in California that I was staying. And they tend to go to the South by Southwest education version. It's 1 week prior the whole events. And then when I got the news that, hey guys, it's Friday and we are not going to have like the South by Southwest on Tuesday, I was like, God damn it. Sorry the bad words, but I was like, what can I do now? And I decided, okay, let's Google, let's see like other peers, other teachers, professors, people that were going there. And I ended up like finding Twitter and on Facebook, people, hey, nevertheless, we are going to create like the alternative version of the event, the unconference, sort of speaking. And I said, oh, that's great because I like it peer-to-peer talk. I like it peer-to-peer learning. What would be greater to create the event, co-create the event? And then like it was the, how can I say, the crazy idea to do it.
Well, that sounds fun. What were some of the benefits of having it done in such a way like that? I mean, did you create some really good relationships, or what were some of your big takeaways?
I think one of the biggest takeaway is like learning like what was the global mindset of event generation. If people get upset because maybe an event stopped happening, we can create the event out of the blue. And of course, not maybe out of the blue, but you have bear in mind like what people want to listen, what they want to talk about, and like again, like to find people with the same mindset is very interesting. For example, there I had the chance to talk to Victoria, Isabella Vicky. She's from Austin herself, but she is the lead coordinator of Kahoot. And I always loved Kahoot, for example. And it was great. And hey, Isabella, what is it about? How does it work? And so, oh, Victor, maybe you could become an ambassador for the brand. And I said, oh, why not? Therefore, like I got the chance to become like the Kahoot ambassador here in Brazil because I was there, because I was open to talk to become friends with her and like to understand like what they needed, and that was so great. It is just one small example that happens there. I met people from Canada, people from India, people from France, from the Netherlands. It was great, like knowing a lot of great other teachers in sort of speaking. And to exchange ideas. That's maybe the startup grind mindset as well. To exchange ideas.
Yeah, it's probably something that entrepreneurs know pretty well. Is like we're just kind of open to experience, and the more you are open to experience, you never know, what's behind that the next meeting, right? The next introduction. So that's really cool. Otherwise, you could have just hung out in the hotel room the entire time and cried.
No, my mindset is like when they shut down the event, the South by Southwest, I said, in the worst case scenario, I go to have a barbecue because people say a lot of good things about the Texan barbecue. And I said, okay, barbecue or nothing, it's better to have the barbecue.
Yeah, the best parts about travel is the cuisine. So I want to start to get into a bit about your ecosystem there. So for those that are not real familiar with the specific region, and that's one of the reasons why we do this, is so that other chapter directors can learn from you and learn about what you're doing in your region, but also investors and other entrepreneurs to see what opportunities might be there. So what are the more common sectors in your particular region of Brazil?
Nice. Just to make a short summary here of the Florianopolis region, it's becoming like the Silicon Valley from Brazil. Like people say about São Paulo, about Belo Horizonte or Rio de Janeiro, but Florianopolis, by its size, is a smaller version, and the, how can I say, concentration of startups, we are becoming like an ecosystem itself, like a whole Silicon Valley itself. Like we have it from universities promoting entrepreneurship, public universities, private universities teaching how to do it. We have pre-incubators, incubators, accelerators, and this is the cool part because people are starting like it to be like in a cauldron, like people talking, bumping each other, learning from each other, being part of different things, and this is the cool part. Like I can give you examples of the Federal University, the State University, again, Federal University, that it has this program for pre-incubation called Co-Creation Lab. And people started to share ideas to learn how to manage it, to put inside the box, maybe some of our crazy ideas, because we entrepreneurs, we don't like boxes, we don't think about boxes, but sometimes we need to box a little bit to make easier to explain. And myself, I applied for this pre-incubator program to understand how can I fit my business in a simpler way to explain. And this is the cool part. And it's interesting that people started to see with you in a different way. And this is one small example. We can say about also our local airport that's now being managed by this Swiss company. So we intended to have better access to Europe, maybe Porto in Portugal, and maybe Fort Lauderdale there in South Florida. It's a good way to explore the possibilities. We are now opening the doors to worldwide ideas. And even with the internet, it's nice to have these introductions, these online bumps.
Sure. So I want to get into some of those aspects of the ecosystem a little bit, but so there are no particular sectors, whether it's like energy or education.
Sort of. We have a very strong company here called Resultados Digitais. It sells abroad as RD Station is their name of their software or app or tool. I don't know what they call itself because it's like a CRM for marketing agencies. And it's becoming it's growing very fastly, it's growing very steadily. And it seems to be our next unicorn in Brazil. And it's located from Florianopolis. And once you have a major player, I start to say, guys, you start to understand that if people start to navigate or to be surrounded like moons around the planet. And we started to have this ecosystem based on marketing, also based on other things that we have here. Not as strong as energy, not as strong as education ones, but I think the marketing tech sector here in Floripa is very strong.
Okay, so you mentioned that there's a lot of support for entrepreneurs. So if I'm a young entrepreneur and I have an idea, sounds like I'm going to find my way fairly easily, at least connected to other entrepreneurs. I can get access to incubators, accelerators. It's fairly easy, or do I have to go through university? Do I have to have an idea? Is it pretty competitive to get in these programs?
There's not a startup course here in Brazil per se. There are some courses that led you to understand what's the entrepreneurial mindset. College, for example, Empretec is brought by the local SBA. It's very interesting because it shapes our minds, what the entrepreneur thinks, how does it feels, how does it work, and then you start to have the basic of the entrepreneurial mindset. But of course, if you have this crazy idea, now you can go to the local SBA and say, hey, how does it work? Santa Catarina State SBA is very interesting because they have a lot of connections, and they tend to connect you to the universities if you have just the idea and you need maybe some other tools. Maybe they also connect with the chambers of commerce. Here in Brazil, we have a lot of chambers of commerce, but in Santa Catarina State, they are very strong ones. We also have a lot of cool ideas together, and it starts to become a roadmap. When I told from the university even to the internationalization, you can have a lot of hands to help you.
That's very cool. So you had a really good analogy there with the unicorn being a planet or a sun, and you have all these moons, the gravity, right? So is your region attracting a lot of entrepreneurs from other parts of Brazil or other parts of Central South America where they want to come there and learn from these experts and successful entrepreneurs?
There is these two kind of things here that happens locally. For example, Florianopolis is known because of their seashore. They have a lot of beautiful beaches. They have a lot of mountains nearby as well, and people tend to come here because of the lifestyle. But also there are people that start to see as an opportunity. That was my case. I cannot stand a lot of under the sun because I can get red very easily. But I started to see like, hey, what else? What opportunities that we have here? Near the place I live, there's this built neighborhood, like this artificial neighborhood that people can use it as a sit lab, College Pedra Branca. This is wonderful because, I wanted to use the city as a scenario. Go for it. I wanted to use the restaurants, the bars. I knock the door and say, hey guys, what if I could have like an English class? Because what I do, I teach English here. What if I use your menu in English? Do you have a waiter who speaks English? Oh, maybe we can figure out, or maybe, Vitor, you can buzz the table and pretend you're an employee. And that's the great part. People are open to talk to each other, to learn from each other. And this is very cool. And also, this is the cool part that we can try different things. It's not as, how can I say, it could be a little bit bureaucratic if you don't speak English. Start to say, like Brazilian mindsets are most focused on the internal market, and this is something that bugs me a lot. But once you speak a little Portuguese or you try to communicate with people, people will tend to help you a lot.
Oh, very good. So now Brazil being a very, very large country with a lot of large city centers, we had a really great conversation with Pablo, the chapter director in Monterrey, Mexico, and he was saying that for Mexico and for they don't really consider themselves, say, like a Monterrey startup or a Mexico City startup. In Brazil, is it this way where it's just like, hey, we're all Brazilian startups? Or is it very specific where like your startup in your community is like, nope, we are from this region and Sao Paulo does their thing and we don't want to be, because like in the US, our ecosystem is very separate. We say, oh yeah, I'm Bay Area. Oh no, I'm Chicago. Or no, that's New York. So what is that like? Is there a lot of like regional participation and collaboration, or is it pretty separate?
Well, I can say that in this case, we are very similar to the American mindset because the Brazilian landscape, literally the geographic landscape is very different. If we take it from, for example, where I live, southern Brazil, people tend to be more like focusing on things that are local. Splitting out of Florianopolis, if I go a little bit closer to the countryside, they have a lot of agrotech technology, a lot of innovation related to food and wood industries that are the measure of the economics here. If you go to São Paulo, they tend to be more focused on industrial. Okay. Because in São Paulo itself, it's like more focused on industries, commerce a little bit, but they are in a different section. Rio de Janeiro stopped to be just like the tourist pool of Brazil. So people come here to Rio de Janeiro because we have a lot of technology, mostly using like underwater oil exploration. If you take a look at, for example, Petrobras is the state or the Brazil country owned oil and gas company that they managed to extract the oil and gas out of 7,000 kilometers below sea. Yeah. It's a lot. It requires a lot of technology and the innovation to do so. But also, if you go to further north Brazil, people tend to say, oh, okay, we have the touristy area, but also what else we can do? Some people are thinking like in doing a lot of different things. And that's the cool part, that you can be part of a Brazilian ecosystem, but also every place will have local initiatives, city initiatives, state initiatives. Here in Florianopolis, I can say that I'm aware of the city initiatives. Sure. But if I go deeper to the state, I start to see that people can talk together, mostly to the Chamber of Commerces. They have a stronger web of communication than the government ones. It's not so tied to the government itself, but mostly to the business themselves. Sorry.
That's cool. So I'm just really interested about this, the connectivity. You mentioned earlier with the new management of the airport, you have like connection to Europe real easy, and then Florida. Is there like the Brazilian like diaspora? The Brazilians are everywhere, right? So is there a trend for having some people like say, hey, you know what, I will go to the Bay Area, I will go to San Francisco, and then they get some success and they come back. Do they come and then they come back to their hometown? Or
here,
do people just
Brazil, if I take it Florianopolis in mind, I can see a little bit of differences. For example, a lot of people dream to live abroad here in Brazil, but also they are afraid of living abroad. Like they dream a lot of living to work in America or work in Europe and so on, but they do not engage a lot. Or they engage like, okay, let's start with a lower job, a lower salary, and then start to climb the ladder. Maybe it's no big mistake about it, but also when they come back, oh, I found some interesting ideas, and they brought. Nowadays, we don't have like most of this diaspora in the sense of coming back. I can give an example of Florianopolis. People come here to study in the universities. They like the ecosystem, literally the weather, the tourist places that we have here. So they stay. But they do not say, okay, maybe I could go back to São Paulo, where I'm from, or back to Rio de Janeiro, or to Minas Gerais, or southern Rio Grande do Sul, and to say, okay, maybe I could go back and fix locally. No, they tend to be stuck. Here, it's to say, like here in Brazil, we have it saying that once you buy the house, you are anchored to the place. It's kind of weird, but I think it's the same to Brazilians that you go abroad. Oh, maybe they found a cool idea and they start to work the idea there, and they do not come back. It's a shame. I think they could have like this kind of cool things to take and bring, and vice versa.
Sure. That's really interesting. So I want to talk a little bit about the access to capital, because that's often a very big barrier for people getting started. And so I'm that entrepreneur in your region. I found my resources. I got some help, and I'm getting just a little bit of traction. Is it popular to do like friends and family, or is it fairly easy to skip that, or like what's the trend?
I think we have the 3 Fs first, like family, friends, and fools,
Yes.
as everywhere. But also here in Brazil, it's not so difficult to apply for public biddings. Like you could have like the government to be your first clients, but also you have a lot of money that is disposable from, how can I say, public invitations. Hey, we have this fund here. We have maybe this 1 million reals that we are the government or some sectors of the government have to offer, and you can spend it, and we don't take it back. Some other banks also have like some how can I say, interesting interest rates, because maybe it's not as much or as low as American ones. Maybe here in Brazil, the lowest can be like 8 or 9%, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember this for sure. And then like per month, and then like it's gonna be like a lot of money. But again, most of people here use bootstrap strategies.
Sure. Is there a particular, in your region, is there a particular gap of financing where there might be opportunities for investors internationally to come in and find some really great startups?
I think a gap of finance is not the biggest issue here. I think worldwide, okay, it's the biggest gap is to skilled professionals. We have a huge gap of programming students or programming stuff, because people tend to say, hey, okay, I'm very good at marketing, but can you code a little bit? Most of people don't. Like I'm trying to self-teach myself how to code a little bit just to make it easier, because I am tired of just fixing the clock on the microwave. But again, it's something that we could see like different perspectives to have like coding people, or to have like more people that are used to it. Of course, people tend to say, "Hey, I learned a little bit to code. I'm already a good coding here." Like in Brazil, the salary would range from 5,000 reals, our local currency, real, Brazilian real, to 10,000 reals. But in Florianopolis, they tend to pay a little bit lower, like maybe 4,000, 3,500 reals per month. And then they got invited to go to São Paulo to code there because São Paulo companies pay a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So people start to say, hey, maybe I could move back to São Paulo, move back to other places. So this is starting to have like a shift of a place to learn and place to work. And maybe is our biggest gap.
Sure.
But gap about financing, I don't think is our biggest concern. Oh, of course, money is always welcome. Please give us money, sir. But I mean, like, I don't mean like it's difficult. So maybe also the bureaucracy about converting the money if we take money from abroad would be like something to bug.
Yeah. So one last thing, I guess, on investment then. So money's not too much of a problem, and you mentioned some bureaucracy. If I'm an investor coming from outside of the country, is there a really good like rule of law, like property law, like I can feel really secure about my investments?
Well, to be honest, I'm not very aware of the IP laws here in Brazil. Like honestly, like I started to pay attention a little bit closer because my company started had the name of someone's company as well. Like someone copied my name, and I was not happy about it. But again, it happens. Like I didn't make the IP property, and because most of the time I was hard working on make my business sustainable. But again, like to here in Brazil, we have like some angel investments new laws that allows investors to put the money, but do not how can I say have problems with the legal issues. You're not legally indeed to the business. You are just offering money to them.
Sure.
This is very interesting. And our laws here, like regarding to codes or programming, can be very loose. Sorry to say, is not something that you can protect yourself. But also, I think when you start to have a good business, people will tend to try to copy you a little bit. It's something like that happens with China. Oh, we have the Uber mindset. We have everything working here. There came up a DD, a 99 tax. It's very similar, but do they have like after they start to copying a little bit, they start to creating new things. This is the how can I say the path that I see, and I cannot say something better about it.
Sure, yeah. Sometimes imitation is a really good compliment, and it drives innovation on the part of both parties. So. Very cool. So you brought up the topic of talent, and that's always very interesting to talk about. So since it's not the easiest to find programmers, and there's some competition, one of your neighbors, Uruguay, is known for having a lot of really great tech talent. Do people outsource that type of stuff, like close, or is it like India, Ukraine, Bulgaria? Like where are the popular areas to find that help if you can't get it locally?
Well, we outsource a lot of things here in Brazil. Of course, there are a lot of freelancers coding, designing, fixing things. Like it's not only about the programming sector, like the how can I say the internet or the online per se technology. We intended to have a lot of outsourced things. It's no big deal. Like even if you intend like outsource, you can find a lot of interesting tools together. Like maybe I'm part of this co-working place, and maybe I need help with marketing. Hey, is there anyone who do marketing here? Oh, I do. Oh, maybe we could learn a little bit from each other. I could hire you for a while or not, like just to engage, to grow my business out of this. And maybe later on invite you like to be part of the team, or maybe to keep outsourcing. Depends on the strategy of the company.
Cool. So I want to talk a little bit about how things are for entrepreneurs on the ground there, um,
Mm-hmm.
outside of just the typical how to get started, etc. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously we have the global pandemic, and so what in your community, what's the mindset, what's the outlook with your local entrepreneurs for the next 6 months, 12 months? What are they thinking?
Mm-hmm. Sweet. Good question. I noticed that here in Brazil that mostly in Florianopolis, the education sector is troubled. Like we had a lot of problems. We do not have. We closed our schools. When I say the school, like from the K-12 system schools here in Brazil, like public and private schools are closed, permanently closed. Some universities, private universities, are trying to have online classes, online courses as well, and people are getting tired of having live for classes. Like they like it to communicate with each other, to talk with each other, to do projects, hands-on projects, and most of learning are not digital. Most of the teachers and professors here tend to copy and paste the same methodology. Okay, I'm gonna write it here, and you copy it there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the way that I think it's the best to learn. However, like some companies are looking for different perspectives. Like I see, like some companies, for example, Smart Tour. I learned then that they started with tourist beacons, like to understand like what are the tourist mindset, what they're buying, what they're selling, what they're liking or not, and then they noticed, hey, but the tourism is shut down now. What can we do? They pivoted to be a company that follows in a good way people who might have COVID.
Mm.
They start to have a tracking system to say, hey, this person who had said that he has COVID, he or she walked these places, maybe he got in contact with these people. It's a good way to manage people in a good sense, sorry to say, not to like create, but like to manage them to say, hey, maybe this person should be stay at home. And then it's easier to understand. I see also other companies is that instead of creating, for example, Houseful, they started to be like a online real estate agents, and they noticed that maybe it's a little bit struggling here to talk about real estate. People are saving money; they are not willing to buy houses or rent places, so they decided to outsource it themselves to other companies. We have some local Airbnbs, sort of speaking companies, like or bigger real estate companies that they not say, hey, we need you to code. Hey, we have the code here. We can exchange ideas, we can exchange projects together. Oh, that works. Maybe they gonna be merged to or acquired by another bigger company, but this is the interesting part. And also some other companies that started, for example, Legalio, that started as a CRM for legal offices or lawyers officers. I don't know what's the best words in English, but they started now to outsource it to certificate it and offer tools to these consulting offices. So instead of it being like in the forefront, oh, I offer legal advice online, I help people who offer legal advices. And this is the interesting part. So they shifted it, maybe instead of it being the forefront of the business, but being the backlog of the businesses.
That's cool. So those are some really good examples of businesses pivoting to match the challenge. But in your community, since you've been doing the chapter director thing for 5 years, so you're
Mm-hmm.
probably fairly well known and probably fairly well trusted by your community in your chapter. What have been some of the questions that you're getting when people are asking you for advice, like what to do?
Well, most of the times there's this kind of interesting thing. Since Florianopolis is becoming like the Silicon Valley from Brazil, they start to bloom a lot of events, places to talk, to learn each other. And this is interesting. Like we are creating like some micro communities itself. Like most of the time, I tended to say, hey guys, do not be shy to talk to other communities. You can take what's good and what's bad from Startup Grind. You can take what's good or bad from A, B, or C. This is interesting too. We do not be afraid of it. Talk we community leaders, we tended to be very shy, very close to conversations. I myself, I tended to be part of several places to talk to several people, to learn and to share what I have. And this is kind of interesting because people tend to be, how can I say, too much passionate about the idea and do not to talk to share. And they say, maybe it's my big mouth that I don't mind, like to talking to different people, to learn what they have, but also to standing like what I'm in front of. I'm in front of the Startup Grind in Floripa. So I can invite the other people, other players to be part of our events. I started to create like mini summits instead of okay, let's make a small conference of other players. Good, it's better for me because I don't need to argue or do not need to fight about the agendas with the speakers because the speakers now are being invited to everywhere. Okay, so instead of fighting for the speaker, why we don't fight together? Oh, Vitor, can we do it? Of course. It's no big deal. Is people are welcome to share ideas, to learn from each other. And that's the cool part.
So in the last few months, have the other communities gotten busier with how many events they're doing? Are they doing them all online? Like, are you, how have you been doing? Have you been doing some events or have you been taking a break?
Well, I'm trying to, how can I say, level the events. Instead of doing like one event per month, that's going to be very stressful for me and for Vitor, who is also my co-director here in Floripa. He also has a pretty name like mine, Vitor. And like me and Vitor, we start to notice that instead of being like every month, like in an industrial scale of event, sort of speaking, like, okay, find the speaker, make the presentation, blah, 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 blah. It's becoming like it lose the sense of the networking. So we started to say, okay, let's find the people that can call their friends, we can learn from each other. Mostly because I like to learn, Vitor also likes to learn, and we can learn together. Like how can we fix the events, but also to fix we become part of the community itself. So the events tended to be more focused on what we think is best for us. And we are trying to do it like every 2 months.
Okay.
Not to have like every month, but also to find, we found the opportunity to talk with a girl who lives in Estonia. Oh, that's cool. So we could see what the ecosystem is there, what's there, what we can do, what silver lining we can find it elsewhere. And the same thing that you're doing here. Like it's very cool, like to be part of it, this learning. And also because she was Brazilian, and we started to have like this ecosystem exchange. This is, I think, the coolest part that we can be worldwide now. Since you said, as you told, like we are online. I'm talking from southern Brazil, and you are talking from North America. It's great because we are bridging these two states, two countries, two cities, and two places that we could be like connectors to others. That's the coolest part.
That's awesome. So I do want to hear a little bit about your startup and what you're doing, because we heard about how you moved down there and how you found Startup Grind, and but it's probably been a pretty interesting time for your business. So can we hear a little bit about what it is that you're doing?
Sure. Like here in Brazil, here in Florianopolis, I founded Milestone English Course. It's a startup sort of speaking school, like a lean learning methodology based on things people like, the things that people do, and think the purpose these people have. Like I started to understand that instead of being the boring normal classes that people copy and paste and try to memorize English, I tended to give you real life English. I've been like working with this like for the last 5 years. The same with the period that I came to find the Startup Grind, I started to formulate my business strategy. And this is the cool thing that I tried to bring people together. Like I try to, and here in Brazil, like during the summer breaks, people tended to be very slacky to do not study. So I started to gather a lot of other tools. For example, I am the only case of a solo entrepreneur, size business that has the Google for Education. is very cool. No other private teacher or solo entrepreneur business has it, and I have. I also happen to be like ambassador of several brands, such as Kahoot, as I told you, Duolingo, and I'm looking for other. One is from Canada, Bamboozle, that has online games that I intended to use to them to teach English, but also to promote to other schools. So instead of it being just like the education, the teacher to other students, maybe I can teach other teachers like how to manage their business or how to engage with technology, because I see a lot of opportunities there as well.
So with the pandemic, and you mentioned that a lot of schools are just closed. Um,
Mhm.
are you busier now? Has the pandemic been pretty good for your business?
Not really. To be honest, like here, Bruce, here at least with me, people tended to say, "Hey, Victor, I need you to focus on my business. I need you to focus on my family." So they are losing the interest because of other
Mm-hmm.
things, or maybe they need you to focus on their duties. Because here in Brazil, people tend to say, "Hey, you're online, you are able to speak." Oh, not this easy. Like I mean, like it's not because I'm online I'm available, and maybe like people tended to see a lot of struggle focusing on education online. I use it to teach previously. Like I have a set a studio here at my place with professional headsets, professional
Mm-hmm.
lighting, a camera to see. Like that's why you can see maybe better than other places. But even face to face, hard to say. But I mean, like we say, people might not be interested so much in learning. They are looking for to
Okay.
survive. They entered in a survival mode,
Mm-hmm.
and prices here are getting high. The food is getting high, like maybe 10, maybe 15% since the beginning of the year. And people are starting to say, hey, I need you to save for food or save for their rent. And maybe they are afraid of losing their jobs. And that's completely normal. I intended to say, hey, if you don't, we don't need to make a contract, write on the stone like you what to do or what not to do. Just be honest, be frank with me, and we can be very good friends. And that's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So with things becoming challenging for folks,
Mhm.
are there support organizations, whether it's public or private, that help the entrepreneurs that are struggling or the small business person?
Well, we are having like some governmental situations. Like we are having like maybe some sponsorships from the governments, but they are very low. Sorry to say, like maybe $600 per month is not so much.
Mm-hmm.
And also, people are trying to manage or to negotiate rents, renegotiate contracts, and therefore, instead of closing the business. Or they also have like different strategies to say, hey, I cannot offer you the full salary, but I can offer you like to keep working with me, and we can remanage the salaries, remanage the working hours, because people can be able to work in different jobs. So this is what they think that the market is doing. Uh, psychological help. I see like some volunteers, people, a lot of volunteers trying to help we keep our minds in place. I see like it's some a lot of lives. Honestly, like I am afraid of open the fridge and find a live invitation to go to watch there, because people are trying to do this kind of learning.
Mm-hmm.
And also, this is something that is struggling with people. People are not being able to manage their time correctly. Oh, since I get out of my bedroom and come to my office, this office as pretty as it looks, is part of my place.
Mm-hmm.
And people think, okay, I need you to work, I need you to work, I need you to work, and they work like maybe 10, 15 hours a day, and they don't feel as they work it, or they did a lot of things. And this is the kind of thing that people are getting stressed, they are getting anxious about what is going next, if we are going to have a lockdown or not, or how we are going to survive or endure to the next year. but also people are getting depressed because we Brazilians like to touch each other, we like to hug each other, and we are being deprived of this. And this is the challenging thing. Of course, we are learning how to be cooler, like in a European or American sense of not no hugging each other, not do not touch each other. But it's something that we are. The Brazilian mindset is a little bit fuzzy about it.
Sure. Now, yeah, so globally, there's different areas that are getting different levels of enthusiasm for this vaccine, which still is going to take forever to, not forever, but it's going to take a very long time, a very complicated supply chain to be, to get into the hands of countries and then to be administered. Here, in our experience, the small entrepreneur is still thinking end of next year before they can even think about doing business strategy as they might have last year. Is there any feeling from your local community of entrepreneurs of like their kind of outlook on?
Well, we just had the city elections here in Brazil. We are having like new city representatives and mayors. Mm-hmm. And we see, and this is like a preview of what we're gonna see like in the state and national elections. People started to be very doubtful about the president himself, and this changes to maybe it's like the most challenging things, because if he orders people to get vaccinated, people no, you cannot oblige me to get myself vaccinated. I don't want you to be vaccinated. But also some people say if he doesn't oblige, people can get sick and go around. It's a lose-lose situation. Mm-hmm. I think like of course we intend I personally would love like to say, hey, we found this vaccine and we can go for this or not. It's up to what we want. But people are struggling with this. They do not know for sure like what's going to come next. Again, are we going to have a lockdown or not? Are we being able to have a loose restrictions or not? Because here in Brazil, like okay, people are needed to wear masks. Okay, but since we have bigger distances in Florianopolis, maybe I can walk on the street without a mask. Can I? Is that a lot of issues like this that we are facing? Oh, maybe I can spend the whole week at my place. Of course, but you need to go to the supermarket, wearing masks, getting the temperature measured, like with laser thermometers. And again, for the elections, we didn't have like this temperature measurements, and it happened like last Sunday. This is the kind of tricky part. Oh, I need you to get my temperature measured to go to the supermarket, but not to vote. Right. What's going on? Why is that so? And people started to be very annoyed about it. Like, what are the legal, the governmental mindset for the next things, the next events? We do not know.
Yeah, I've been tracking and reading, listening to some of what's been going on this last week or so with you guys down there, because mm-hmm. we're in the same period of uncertainty, like as mm-hmm. Different elected officials take over. And in our situation in the U.S., there is no standard across the states, let alone from city to city. Mm-hmm. Everything's different. So like I can drive half hour away and be under a whole different set of rules. So,
mm-hmm. And that's the thing that it's important to ask you. I think not only about the city laws, but what is the common sense in sort of speaking? Hey, how do you feel? Do you wanna be like with or without mask? When I talk to my friends, or this few times that I went out with my friends, I asked them, how do you prefer? You want me to wear a mask the whole time or not? Do you want me a handshake or a bump? What's up to you? What do you want? It's better to understand, like, okay, it's just like in a job interview. I can come with a top of the level suit, tie, and so on. But okay, but I'm wearing a t-shirt. Okay, now I can fix myself. I will make the mask loose. I can show you my face, my expressions.
Mhm.
What do you prefer? Oh, it's easier.
Yeah, that's really that's good advice. Especially we might be used to doing those things in a cultural competence or cultural curiosity to see what's normal,
Mm-hmm.
but now we have to ask everyone what that is. So especially because we don't know their family situations. Um, so
Mm-hmm.
with the last few minutes
Is
that we
that?
have here, I want to um, I like doing I like ending things on this note because a lot of times our chapter directors we just go
Mm-hmm.
around our community saying how can I help you, how can I help you, how can I help you, um,
Mm-hmm.
but as chapter directors we don't often get asked that ourselves, and so I
Mm-hmm.
find this is a good opportunity for chapter directors to let the startup grind community at large kind of know what you need.
Mm-hmm.
So what does Vitor need, and what do you need in your ecosystem? What can we do for you?
Well, I see mostly here in Brazil that, at least from my perspective, we need more attention. I mean, like I need to, I feel the need to show or that people are interested in learning more about us. I try to pitch the Santa Catarina State Technology Association, the Business Association, the city, the government themselves to say, hey guys, we need to have more materials to talk about Brazil or to talk about our region, and people do not engage to learning more about Florianopolis or from Santa Catarina because they don't find the more material in English. And I start to pitch them, hey, I have a lot of people interested to put money here, or I have a lot of people interested in visiting Brazil instead of just going to São Paulo or Rio de Janeiro. Maybe they could enjoy more city events or state events here. So maybe if I could say, to engage your locals to say, hey, we want you to learn more about Floripa. We want you to learn more about the other
Mhm.
ecosystems. And this, like, I'm trying to, sorry, to show more people, to show different perspectives. Personally, in my personal level, maybe I needed some help, like showing other people that I'm able to teach you guys English or Portuguese. I don't know how is the need for you guys about the Portuguese. I think is very low because people don't like it to learn Portuguese. It's maybe like too different to you guys. But again, it's up to we see like how can we be closer, and this is the very cool thing that you are doing. Like is to we can bridge more
Mhm.
people. So I think this is the most interesting part.
Yeah, it's been real interesting learning about all the different ecosystems and everyone and all their activities. Especially as you mentioned, you had that event with someone in Estonia. So it's remarkable
Mm-hmm.
to learn what similarities and differences there are, and then see like what opportunities there are for each other. So, um, well, I'm really grateful for the generosity of your time um, and
Mm-hmm.
joining me and I learned a lot. So and then we'll be coming back around. We have a lot of other chapter directors to get to, but after a while, we're
Mm-hmm.
interested to see how things sort of like change from one time to the next, especially in such a uncertain time as it is now. So thank you so much, Vitor. I really appreciate it, and it's so good to make your acquaintance.
Mm-hmm. Likewise, you be my guest. You know that you are always welcome to buzz me whenever you want or don't want. Is you know that I'm always open to my friends, to the startup and grind community, but to everybody. So I'm always able to communicate. I would invite you, all the people that are listening or watching this show here, like to add me on LinkedIn. It's Vitor Bruno, easy, VITOR BRUNO, Vitor Bruno. And then like you're gonna see like a photo with a master chef's pose, sort of speaking, but it's gonna be me. And we're gonna exchange ideas together.
That's very good. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, if anyone's interested in connecting with Vitor, all of his contact info is in the event page, and you can follow the links and Adam. He's always very responsive. So, Vitor, thanks so much.
Mhm.
I'll let you have the rest of your day back, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Sweet.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Ciao.